6:02. I'll call the meeting to order. Please be advised that this meeting is being recorded. First thing is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, people state your name for the attendance.
James Kepke.
George Slingo.
Fran Mikulajczyk.
Wesley Maraska.
Okay, first up is a public hearing, notice of intent for 8 and 10 Mill Street and 0 West Main Street, Stevens Mill Owner LLC. Nobody's here for that.
Right. Yeah, good evening. My name is Dan Wells with LEC Environmental. Also joining me is Andrew Steiner from Bowler Engineering. And I will share my screen. So just to orient you where this project is located, so this is Main Street, and the project is just the north, and the French River runs along the the eastern side of the site. You can see this colorful shading, that's natural heritage estimated habitat and priority habitat. So the river itself is mapped for rare species. So we did submit a copy of this to Natural Heritage. So this is an ortho photo view of the property. So I'll zoom in. So this is existing as a 2023 aerial. So you can see this is 8 Mill Street, and then 10 Mill Street is up to the north. And there's the endangered species mapping on the east side. And as you, I believe most people are familiar with the Stevens Linen Mill. It's a historic mill on the National Register of Historic Places and the Massachusetts Register. So this, as you can see from this aerial, there's obviously the old historic buildings, there's some old pavement parking areas, and on the east side of the building, it's highly disturbed. It's kind of just compacted gravel right now, and there's this area here is an old kind of riprap berm. So there's one feature that you can't see too well, but so obviously the French River is to the east, and there's a bridge over Main Street, but there's a pond on the west side of the complex, and it goes under Mill Street, and then there's this continues kind of partially under the building, partially above ground, and it wraps around the building, and then right about here, it enters a pipe and goes a couple, less than 200 feet before it empties out into a raceway. So the French River obviously is a perennial stream, has a riverfront, but this unnamed tributary is also mapped as a perennial stream. So it does have a 200-foot riverfront, and that'll be important. I'll get into that. So this is just the overall site plan, and I'll just kind of give you the quick overview. So that the blue line is kind of the limit of the project disturbance, and this red line here is the existing edge of kind of disturbed habitat. So beyond that is, you know, some successional forest and shrub habitat. Right in here, there's a stormwater basin that was constructed sometime in around 2005, and that'll be important. We'll talk about that shortly too. But you can see there's a new entrance coming in 10 Mill Street, and then you can see, I'll kind of zoom in, you can see a lot of the work is just parking spaces. The project would renovate the mill complex buildings into residential apartments. And so there's a lot of parking spaces in all sides of it. And of course, there's some new stormwater management features that we'll describe. But you can see here, that's where that tributary goes underground and it comes out and then it joins the French River over here. So what we have here is, this is on the left side, you can see there's a yellow shaded area and you can see kind of the project footprint overlaid on the aerial photo. So what, in the Mass Wetlands Protection Act regulations, there's what's called a historic mill complex, and work in riverfront as part of a historic mill complex footprint is exempt from the riverfront. So that's very important to this project. So what's shown here, these are, if this was just a standard property, this would all be riverfront. This is the outer 200 and the inner 200 extending off this perennial tributary. But because of the historical significance of this site, we believe it meets the definition for a historical mill complex. So all of the work that would be riverfront is exempt. So all in this area. So with that in mind, I'll turn to the right side, and so what's remaining is the riverfront off of French River. And so there's only a small amount of actual work being proposed in the riverfront. There's just these little slivers. So this is a permanent impact of 640 square feet. There's a few various little slivers in this blue colored that kind of goes along from north to south, and that totals up to 2,180 square feet. So all of the temporary riverfront alteration is just needed for grading, but it'll be restored to native habitat with native shrub and tree planting. But this small part up here will be permanently altered, and it's only 640 square feet. So that'll be part of a parking lot. This existing stormwater basin, part of this project is going to be reusing that. So we'll get into kind of the specifics of that, but it's been kind of overgrown and not really maintained as far as I understand. So the part of this plan is to kind of, what we're calling it, refreshing it, essentially cleaning it out as needed, but using what's there. I think it's been deemed to be still structurally sound, so it'll be suitable for the stormwater management for the new project. So that's, so there's no wetland alterations or bank alterations, so it's just a small amount of riverfront. And so I won't get into it, but this is just the regs where it says activities within historic mill complex are grandfathered or exempted from riverfront area. And then this is kind of how they're defined, how you define a historic mill complex. And this is important, the latter part of this definition. The mill complex includes only the footprint of the area that is or was occupied by interrelated buildings, manufacturing buildings, housing, utilities, parking areas, and driveways, constructed before and existing after 1946. So that's, those dates are important into what we're considering is exempt. And this is just, I included this in the NOI, the mass cultural, kind of the whole record of the historical data and information for the property. So if you want more information, that was part of the notice of intent. So just to get back to that, I just wanted to show you just a few examples. This is in all the National Historic Register documentation. This is a view from 1914 of what the mill complex looks like. And this is the French River over here, and Main Street would be off the page, but you can see there's that tail race or whatever they call it. It's now we're calling it a perennial tributary. You can see that existed, and there was kind of a footbridge over it, and there were buildings way down next to the river, which have since been demolished. But this just goes to shows you how extensive it was. Pretty much cleared right up to the edge of the river back in the early 20th century. This is a view from a revised 1934 plan, and I'll zoom in on the mill here. So this is Main Street, this is the mill complex, and so you can see here's the French River and that tributary. But in this case, as of 1934, there's a railroad going right through here. So there's a couple of these pathways or cart paths, I'm not sure exactly what they are, but so this is before that 1946 date. So there was clearly a lot going on to the east of the buildings, and these structures have been removed. But so just to go back to our historic mill complex diagram here, so the yellow, so there's the buildings obviously, but then we're considering all of this area to the east of the building, which is now highly kind of disturbed and degraded. We feel that that was always part of the complex. And although the complex extended way up into here, it's since been abandoned and it doesn't exist after 1946. So that's essentially, we did go on a site walk with Matt a couple years ago to review that, and he can, chime in about that. But it's there's some of it is a fence and some of it is that riprap. So it's very clear, what we think is mostly highly demarcated of existing versus more natural vegetation. So the next part I want to get into, I wanted to have Andrew kind of give a brief overview of how the stormwater is being managed. And do you want to share, Andrew, or do you want me to pull up a?
Sure, I can still share.
Okay.
Bear with me one moment. Is that showing up, everybody?
Now I can see it.
All right, perfect. So again, just for the record, my name's Andrew Steiner with Bowler. There's a bit of history on this project, which I'll get into. However, in general, this project would be considered a redevelopment under the Mass Stormwater Standards. However, it's just important to note that this has been designed to meet the new development regulations, which are a little bit more, which are more strict. In general, the site under the existing conditions flow to one of two locations, so that the French River, which is what we've been talking about, and then also a small portion of the site flows towards Art Block Place, which runs southwestern along the bottom side of the page here. So in general, the proposed impervious area is captured and conveyed via deep sump catch basins to one of several stormwater BMPs. We have underground infiltration basins, which I've highlighted in kind of these red boxes for everybody, which then they've been sized to provide not only water quality, but again, a groundwater recharge, which is an improvement over the current site conditions. There's also, prior to discharging into these underground basins, there's also, we've all proposed water quality units, which again increases the amount of water quality from the stormwater runoff. As Dan was talking, which we'll get into this a little bit sooner, there's also the existing stormwater basin on site, which is roughly in this orange location, which again, as part of this proposal, this would be kind of, as we're saying, like refreshed, because it hasn't necessarily been maintained since it was originally constructed. And again, just to touch base on some of the history, a very similar layout was submitted to the planning board in late 21, 22 time frame. We have revised the plan to kind of be what's in front of everyone today, which is, again, we pulled out the parking to be essentially out of that limit of disturbance, which we were just talking about, really, which is kind of that red line throughout the plan. So in terms of the plan change, that was the most substantial plan change, but really the stormwater approach hasn't changed all that much since it was originally submitted to the planning board, which was, those plans were peer reviewed by Graves at that time. So just wanted to mention that. So with that, I'll kick it back over to Dan.
Great, thank you, Andrew. Okay, so we did get a file number and some comments from Mass DEP, so I'd like to go quickly through those, and that's something we'll need to talk about with the commission. So the first part is the applicant should submit additional information to justify the extent of the outline of the area of historic mill complex. So I kind of gave an overview of kind of some of the evidence we were considering, but we will certainly be looking at more of that. But the part right here, it says, is the 1998 addition included as part of the HMC footprint? And so what they're talking about is right here, this darker roof, we believe, is that correct, Andrew? Is that the right spot? Yeah. So
Yes, it's the right spot.
This was constructed and added on in 1998, and initially we didn't exclude that, but based on DEP's comments, we will be revisiting that, I believe, and so that we'll see how that affects this. So that would be, we're saying all of this is exempt, but DEP is saying this, essentially this rectangle should not be considered exempt because it was constructed after 1946. So that's one change. Grounds and open areas, including areas that are currently appear to be forested, would not qualify as historic mill complex. So we are thinking, we're taking another look at this existing stormwater basin that we think DEP may be seeing the trees growing in here and questioning whether all of this part would be part of the yellow shading. So again, we're taking a look at that and we'll direct that to DEP and the commission. So that may, if we exclude some of this, we might have slightly higher riverfront alteration numbers. So the next comment from them is, what is the total alteration of riverfront area on this site since 1996, and does it cumulatively exceed 10%? So this is a question so Andrew and I met with Matt virtually last week to kind of go over some of these, and we had requested that Matt and Braden try to dig into the town's records and try to find, any previous filings. What I did was look at the Mass DEP's file number lookup page for Dudley. So going back, there's this file number, which was filed in 1998, and there's no order of condition listed, so we're hoping to see that presumably was associated with that addition, but we don't know. And then more importantly, there's this one, September of 2004, and there was an order of conditions issued in 2004. So we really need to see what was involved in that, and if anything from that project needs to be added into our kind of cumulative impacts. Our client does not have any information about that. I don't know if they were the owner at the time, but so we're hoping the commission has some records of that order of conditions that was issued in 2004. Finally, there's a recent filing that the town of Dudley did, and part of it is on the property, or maybe all of it, and it's related to a utility easement. I think it's a sewer installation, and that was completed as far as we can tell. You can, it's again, Matt can chime in as needed, but
yes, that was a sewer installation, and that has been completed.
Okay, and we believe that was exempt because it's utility work in an easement, so we believe that any alteration would not need to be counted towards our cumulative total. So So that's the information but we do need to somehow, we can't complete our, we can't address DEP's comment without getting those numbers from the 2004 order of conditions, or anything that the commission and the town staff can turn up. It's going to be critical. So the next comment is, does the current proposal comply with 10.5A5AE? And essentially this is a part of the riverfront regulations regarding redevelopment. And so part of that, we can't address this again without all that information from previous filings. So, well, we'll see, we'll discuss this, but anyway, so we can't address either of these comments yet. The final comment was regarding the stormwater standards, and their comment was that they felt standard 2 has not been met, and the applicant should investigate modifications that ensure standard 2. And Andrew, if you could just kind of walk us through what the meaning of this is. And
yeah, of course. So as I mentioned, from a stormwater perspective, the site's really draining to 2 locations today. Thank you. So the portion that they're flagging is the portion of the site that drains to the Art Block Place, and the increase in runoff, which is very minimal. I think it was a couple 0.1 or 2 CFS throughout the design storms, was a result of a roadway widening project with that road, which was ultimately going to be completed by someone else. So it's noted that way in our drain report, and that's also been, like kind of said, just to go back to that, the planning board filing, that was noted at that time too. So it's again still shown on our plans, but that's really the small increase that's noted there. It also falls out of the resource areas, and anything that is headed towards the French River, there's a significant decrease in peak runoff rates from the stormwater that's leaving the site.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. So we feel that we'll address that in writing to Mass DEP as well. But so we feel like 2 of these we need some assistance from the commission and town staff to try to get the basic facts in order. So that's our presentation. We're happy to field questions.
Matt, do you have any questions?
Oh, you're muted, Matt.
Thank you for letting me know that. So I'm looking through my database, and the only thing I can find, the 2018 file was for it was the dye house over on Ardlock Place. So that's what that NOI was for. I don't see much of it, and that was in 2018. I believe the detention basin was part of they had repaved an existing parking area and directed drainage to that detention basin because they didn't have anything for stormwater controls, and the pavement was breaking up, and I think they actually did that years ago under an RDA. But I can't find it. And that's what I have right now. And then the sewer NOI you actually nailed. You are absolutely correct. That is what that is. So as far as the Ardlock Place one, I don't have the details in my files, but it was for the old linen dye house. And it could have been that they even tore it down. That's a possibility.
All right. Do you think?
If there's anything on file, I wouldn't know. Braden would have to look for that, and maybe in the what we call the dead zone, the old file archives.
do you think Mass DEP, we should reach out to them to tell them we're just not able to find it and see if they can share information?
Yeah, I actually have a call into Kim Roth, who was the reviewer on this one for other projects. I can ask her to see if she can find anything.
Okay, because we want to address this. If nobody has the information, can you and the commission give us some guidance how we can close this out or move forward without, do we just presume that basin was considered an exempt act, there was no riverfront alteration as part of it?
I believe that's why they granted the negative determination to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Because they considered that an exempt activity. The sewer, in my opinion, doesn't count, for the reasons you outlined. As far as the linen house goes, there was no expansion, I can tell you that. There was no expansion of any facilities. So it could have simply, the roof may actually be a re-roofing. I don't know. I can ask DEP that question. Problem is, if we close out now and there are unanswered questions, and they decide to view it in the strictest sense of the way Kim wrote it up, they may just intervene.
Right, yeah, that's what we want to avoid. I think we all want to avoid that. So I guess, what do you recommend we continue and try to get the information and,
Yeah, I agree. We should probably continue, and I'll work to get the information out of. Like I said, I've got. I'm going to be speaking to Kim on the phone about a couple of other issues. I will raise this one as well.
Okay.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from butters?
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
a resident or an applicant named Ben Johnson just entered the meeting room. Just to let you know.
Sorry, not to interject. Ben's on our. He's part of our team. So.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
All right. So you want to continue this meeting to our next meeting?
Yes, we would like to do that.
Okay. Someone make the motion.
I'll make a motion that we continue the notice of intent for 10 Mill Street and West Main Street, Stevens and Linen owner.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to continue the notice of intent for 810 Mill Street and 0 West Main Street, Stevens Mill Owner LLC. All those approve?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. All right, when's our next meeting?
29th.
The 29th.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the thorough presentation.
Okay, next is request for determination of applicability for 191 and 193 Oxford Ave, Donahue Development Incorporated.
Do you guys need these?
Please.
That's the site plan, and then here.
Mr. Chair, I have the latest iteration of the site plans on the big screen.
Cool.
Mr. Chairman, if I could start off on this, Mike for the commission.
Go ahead.
So we had issued a negative determination of applicability about a year ago, or maybe a year and a half ago. There was an area that was noted as an isolated wetland here. When the commission issued the determination, Glenn Kravosky filed a new determination on this configuration here, and it was noted that there was a culvert here that wasn't noted in the prior application. So DEP filed, they filed an intervention, came down, took a look at it and found that, yes, there is indeed an isolated area, but this small area here, denoted by this triangle, is considered bordering. So we basically ceded our jurisdiction under the bylaw with that form of negative determination. So he's filing under the act right now for this area right here. In examining the file, the only risk I see, as long as the grading is done properly, the only risk I see to the wetland going, in here and silting up and going out is if there's no erosion protection. So the dotted line here apparently denotes erosion controls, which would isolate that entire little wet pocket right in the front. As long as that's kept in place, I think the only hazard would be to erosion. So I would recommend, unless the applicant has anything to add, the commission can safely issue a negative determination number 3 with the condition that the erosion protection be installed prior to construction, that it be inspected, and that it be monitored by a professional either once a month or every time there is a rainstorm in duration of a ½ inch or more. And that reports on the monitoring is submitted to the commission every month. That way we know that the erosion protection is in place and it's being maintained. So by what I mean by professional is not the applicant and not his construction crew. Somebody like Glenn or somebody who does stormwater inspections. That's it. So, unless the applicant has anything to add, that's my background on this for the commission. I thought about this for a while because I wasn't sure whether a notice of intent route might be a little bit safer, but the one condition that we really need to do this is something that I think can be maintained through a determination of applicability. If I had to start listing multiple conditions, then I'd rethink that, but I think we're safe doing it this way.
So you're saying a request for applicability for number 3?
That's correct. And I've spoken to DEP about it. They can see it both ways.
Okay, any questions from the board? Any abutters present? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Does someone want to make a motion?
Before we do that, Mr. Chairman, is the applicant agreeable to the condition?
Yeah.
Okay, then we're good. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we issue a negative determination under the conditions of erosion protection. The site should be monitored and erosion from the construction by a professional every 2 weeks. The applicant should give monthly updates to the commission.
Second it.
okay, a motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. You all set?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Make sure you let the office know when you've got that erosion protection in place.
I will.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is environmental consultant comments. Do you have any comments?
Actually, I think we have one that you skipped over.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we haven't.
16
To the previously approved order?
16 Lakeview Ave?
Nope, we have above that, right below Stevens Mill, on the agenda, there is a request for an amendment to an existing order by the power company.
For DEP file 146 -0800.
Okay, yep, yep.
Yeah, it's right there under item 3, so.
yep, I'm sorry. An amendment to the order of conditions previously approved by Mass DEP 146-0800.
Lindsay, share the screen.
Okay. Let me. Okay. So the original order of conditions for phase 2 soil borings for the project was issued on July 31st, 2024. Since the issue of the order of conditions, New England Power has identified 4 additional locations where exploratory soil borings are required to inform the design of the replacement structure foundations. These 4 locations are within wetland resource areas or buffer zones. Access to these new soil boring locations will be required to use through the use of off right-of-way access and including the use of temporary construction matting within the off right-of-way bordering vegetated wetlands. 2 of the soil borings are located within upland locations, but they will require the use of temporary construction matting for the access through bordering vegetated wetland. So the first soil boring is located within 200-foot riverfront area of an unnamed perennial stream and the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. The second is located within a bordering vegetated wetland and the 200-foot riverfront area of an unnamed stream. The third is located within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland, and along with the fourth one. Soil borings are temporary in nature, and at the conclusion of work, all areas will be restored to the extent practicable. We'll be using existing and historically used access roads within the right-of-way, which will serve as primary means of access to the work areas. So very minimal. There's only an increase of 7,664 square feet of temporary matting, and pretty much the crews go in, they mat, and then they do the soil boring work, they backfill with the same material, and they're out of there. It's very minimal, very quick. I think we sent you the entire one. No, this isn't. So these are the new soil borings. Here. Here. This one, no. This one here, which we didn't include because it's upland, but it does require wetland matting for access. These ones, but some of this has been previously permitted. The pink shows what's previously permitted. So, do you have any questions? It's very minimal work.
Matt, do you have any questions?
I have no questions. I would recommend that the amendment be granted.
Okay, any abutters present? Any questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing for the notice of intent at 20 minutes to 7. So,
Make a motion that we issue a negative determination for 16 Lakeview Ave.
I'm all set, just wanna make sure. Matt?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
okay, motion's been made
Second?
and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, next is a request for determination of applicability. Nope, we already did those. 16 Lakeview Ave, Joyce.
Just did that.
Yeah, I'm here for her because she wasn't able to make it tonight.
That's you?
Yes, Dennis.
Okay.
Fowler,
Yeah, I'm not even gonna attempt that last name.
Yeah, Norozensky. Yeah, no, I have a hard time with it as well.
Okay,
So she's asked me to come here because she put an application in. She wants to extend her deck 1 foot further than, she wants to redo the deck, but she also wants to extend it 1 foot further out.
Do you have any,
She, from what I was told, she,
He's got it up on the screen there.
okay, yeah,
Should have,
yeah.
Is this by a wetlands?
I don't know, she was just saying,
he lives on a pond,
yeah, she lives on Dudley.
directly above the pond. This was the plan they had drawn up. Some other information in that packet there too.
So right now, the deck is
Lake
20,
view is, I don't know if you guys can see it on my screen.
yeah, that doesn't really help me.
Did you already start this?
no. No, she's just going through the process, the permit and, because of conservation.
How far is it from the water?
I'd say roughly about 30 feet. The deck itself is roughly about 30 feet.
I'm gonna need a plan.
Yeah, okay. So
So-
I wasn't sure what she needed. She just asked me to come, I wasn't sure what she's given you guys, or, for
Yeah, this
information.
doesn't, go on back.
Here's the deck, right here, here's the deck, right here. Covered by a shadow because of the time of day. Oh, sorry guys,
You don't have it?
It doesn't,
can you see it?
Nope,
Right, you can't see my screen.
nope.
we can see the drawing of the house and the deck, but it doesn't show how far it is from the water.
All right, let me just, okay, so the screen share is burping on me. Hold on one sec, guys. Let's do this again. How's that?
See that fine?
Okay,
So this is the house, this is the deck right here. So the edge of the existing deck is 25 feet from the edge of the water. She wanted to add to it, it's not greater than 50 feet. If it was greater than 50 or at 50, it would have been exempt. But because it's within 25 feet of the lake, it's not exempt from filing at all. So she's basically just going out 1 foot closer and redoing the rest of the deck. This is on existing yard space. I honestly don't see an issue here with like a negative determination. If I go back to what I had here for what they enclosed in their filing, you can see the dimensions of the deck are very well spread out. They're very well spelled out, so.
so they're going 1 foot closer.
That's about it, yes. That's why I had them file the determination,
They dig,
because it didn't quite meet the exemption criteria.
they've extended it 1 foot closer to the water?
1 foot closer to the water. Okay, Matt, do you have any problems with this?
No, I don't. I think a -3 would be appropriate for it. It's handwork. There's not gonna be any, like, wholesale digging or excavation like you would for a foundation for an addition. If that were the case, I'd be thinking of it differently, but it's basically just your standard deck.
All right. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the abutters? Hearing none, I'll close this public hearing at 6:45.
Is that this one right here? Right?
Make a determination number 3.
Yep.
That's correct.
I'll make a motion that we give negative determination number 3 for a
redoing of a deck for 16 Lakeview Ave.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. All right. Next is your comments, Matt?
I don't have any comments for this meeting.
Okay, approval of the minutes from August 6th.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes for August 6th. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes for August 6th, 2025. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Other business?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
I just happened to notice, I don't think anybody caught it, I think Mr. Nikolaichik said 16 Lakeview Ave for the previous,
Yeah, he did.
yeah, so I don't know if you wanted to correct that.
I'm gonna redo that motion.
Okay.
Yeah, he was on 4, but we're on 3, so. On the Mass DEP.
'Cause I was wondering why 16 Lakeview Ave came up twice.
I'm not good at numbers.
But we skipped over it. So you want to make another motion? So
Yep.
we can make a motion for a negative determination number 3, right?
Yep.
For the Mass DEP number 146-0800, and to be professionally inspected every 2 weeks for erosion control.
Nope.
No? Is that wrong?
No, that's, you're down here.
Oh, I have a note here, so. So I use the negative determination number 3 for.
Yes, for
for
16
the
Lakeview
for the
Ave.
amendment to Mass DEP 1460.
No, it's for
No.
191 Oxford Ave is the one in question here.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. All right, so, negative determination number 3 for 191,
Nope.
what?
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
Okay.
I was on the wrong one, sorry about
I'm
that.
sorry, Nat.
Look at this, we were skipping around. So negative determination number 3 for 191 Oxford Ave, and that's the one we want, the professional inspection of every 2 weeks for erosion control.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the termination of applicability for 191 and 193 Oxford Ave. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, other business? We're good?
For me.
We're good?
Our next meeting is October 8th.
October 29th.
Well, typo, October 29th, my mistake.
Okay.
I did that at the planning board meeting too.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.